Okay guys, so welcome to another exciting video from Pycoders Academy Python course with me Faisal from Pycoders Academy. Okay, so in our previous video we're looking at just a simple game to find the missing letters. So we are guessing the letters and I hope it was fun. Yeah, so if it was fun, just like that video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel. So today we'll be looking at BMI calculator. So the BMI calculator is just a body mass index. So we use it to check if the person is overweight, underweight, or normal or obese. Okay, so that's the calculator used for that state of conditions for the person. Okay, so that's what we will be doing here. So the BMI calculator will just take two parameters, which are the weight and the height of that person, and it will use that parameters to calculate the BMI of that person. Okay, so that's what we will be doing in this video. Okay, so sit tight and watch this video. Okay, so firstly we have to look at the features of the BMI calculator we'll be creating, so as to make it so simple. Okay, so the BMI calculator, as we know, is a calculator, so we have to have a function that takes the parameters and then return something. So let's look at the features. So features. Okay, now the first feature will be the function that takes the height and the weight to calculate the BMI. So function to calculate BMI. And the next will be a function to check if the person is normal or obese or no underweight. Okay, so function to check condition Okay, then we have to display it on a table to make it user friendly. Okay, so just display on table. Then the last will be printing out the number of states, so number of underweight or number of normal or number of overweight we have in our table. So number of states conditions. Okay, so that's that for our features here. So first will be the function to calculate the BMI. Second will be function to check. Okay, so function to check condition, and next will be the displaying on a table, and then lastly number of states of conditions. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Okay, so we start with the first feature, which is function to calculate the BMI. So the function to calculate the BMI consists of two parameters, which are the height and the weight of the individual. Okay, so first we need the individual, so I will use 6 individuals here. So I will create a name database, so something like database is equal to, then I will list them. So I have something like Gabriel, I have something like Moses, another name like Bob, we have Faisal, we have Bridget. Okay, Bridget. Okay, 1 2 okay, 5 in number, so I'll add last one, so Joseph. Okay, so that's the last one. So I have a database consisting of the names I will use. So this just the individual names we will be using, so they are 6 in number. Now we have to collect the height and weight of each of them, so we can use loop for that. So we just do for name in database. What should we do? We just collect the height, so height is equal to, then you will say the height is equal to input, so it should be an integer, so input, then say enter height, okay. Now go to weight, so weight, then I will say int of the input, the input, then I will say enter weight. Okay, so to make it standard, I will say the height is in inches and the weight is in pounds. Okay, so pounds. Okay, now we have these two parameters we need for our function, so I will just create my function here. So def of BMI is equal, so we have the height and you have the weight. Okay, now we have to calculate the BMI. So BMI is calculated by multiplying the weight by 703 divided by the square of the height. So we have BMI is equal to, then I will say weight. Oh, now let me remove the parentheses. So weight star, then I will say bracket 703 star, then I will say, okay, now this should be divided, so h star 2. Okay, so I have to bring another height here. Okay, so here should be height, then another curly brace. Okay, so I have this, so height times 703 divided by the height squared. Okay, so that's the formula for calculating BMI. Okay, so we can just pretend this so that we can call it in a variable, so BMI. Now what we will do next is just put it here, so I will say BMI in caps, so BMI is equal to, then I will say BMI, then I'll pass the height and weight inside it, so height comma weight. Okay, now what I will do is just to print the BMI out, so BMI, so simple. Now let's run this code and see. Okay, so enter height, then I will say 56, then weight should be 78. Okay, so I'm getting the BMI here 17.48. okay, so that's the BMI. So you can see it has gone to the second individual. So first I want to collect the name also so that we don't confuse ourselves. So name person is equal to, then I will say input, and I will say name. Okay, so done. So now we are done with the first feature. We move on to the second feature. So the second feature says function to check condition. Okay, so we are done with the first feature, which is the function to calculate the BMI. So it's so simple. We started with just a database which runs the name, then we moved on to the function to collect, or function to calculate the BMI, then we move on to the name, collecting the height and weight. Okay, so next we move on to the function to check condition. Okay, so the condition here is that in BMI, in getting the state of a person, we need this value. So when the BMI is less than 18.9 or 18.5, yeah, when it is less than 18.5, then it is underweight, and if it's like more than 18.5 but less than 24.9, then it is normal. Okay, but when it is higher than the 24.9, then it is overweight. Okay, so we will use this analogy to write our code here. Okay, so when it is less than 18.5, it is underweight. When it's between 18.5 and 24.9 with both limits included, then it is normal. But when it is over 24.9, then it is overweight or obese. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing here. So we create another function to check that for us. Okay, so this is the function. So we will say check condition. Okay, so check condition. Now we just do. Okay, so how many parameters do we need here? So to check the condition, we need a BMI, because we get the BMI to check if the person is normal or underweight or and so on. So we just need the BMI. Okay, now we just write our code here. Okay, so I will have the first is checking the underweight first. So if BMI is less than 18.5, okay, what should we do? We just return underweight. Okay, so underweight. Okay, underweight. Now we move on to the normal. So elif, so that we can state a condition. So elif BMI is okay. So we will create a range, let's say a range condition here. So I will say 18.5, so greater than, equals to, then I will say BMI. Okay, it should be this way rather. Okay, now I will say BMI, then I will say less than or equal to, again, then I will say 24.9. Okay, so I have this. So if the BMI is greater or equal to 18.5, or it is less or equal to 24.9, then we return normal. Okay, so normal. So simple. Now lastly, we just return overweight when the BMI is greater than 24.9. So overweight. Okay, so overweight. So you have this. So this the function to check the condition of the individual. Okay, so we just pass it here. So we just do condition is equal to, we say BMI. Now sorry, should be check condition, then we pass the BMI. So here the BMI should be capital BMI, so something, because the current BMI is contained in the BMI here. Okay, so we pass it here. So now print BMI and the condition also. Okay, to see what is happening there. So let's run this code and see. Okay, so my name is, let's say, Faisal, and I will say enter height is 67, then the weight. Okay, I'm getting invalid return for int of base 10. Okay, so maybe I typed a wrong input. So Faisal here, and I will say 67 78. Okay, so it's working. So you can see 12.2. No, here, from here, when it is less than 18.5, it should return underweight. So that's what we are getting here, underweight. Okay, so we are on the right track. Okay, so that's the second feature, or that's the second feature we have treated. So the first was function to calculate BMI, which we have; function to check condition, which we have done. So to make it very presentable, we can just create an empty dictionary to add the name and the BMI, so that we can easily display it on the table. So we just do values is equal to an empty dictionary. So we will continue in the next feature. Okay, so now, we are getting to the closing end of this project. So we have done the function to calculate the BMI, the function to check the condition. What is left is the displaying on the table and the number of state conditions. Okay, so simple. So now we move on to the display on table. So we just created an empty dictionary here, which is called values. So these values will be containing keys, which is the name, the name of the individual, and we have a list, a sub list, which says which contains the BMI and the condition. Okay, so we can just do that here so quickly. We just do values dot append. Okay, so now what we will do is just no, we can't use append here. So what I will do is values, then the key should be the name. So name person is equal to, so now we have values, name person is equal to so a list here which is says BMI comma condition. Okay, so this as this like printing or storing our BMI and condition inside the dictionary values. Okay, so that's like what we have done. So we just store it in a dictionary. So simple. Okay, so now we have our values inside this dictionary. So now we have to print it out in a table form to make it user friendly. So we just do what we did in our first project under advanced Python programming course. Okay, so you just do for, let's say, value in, let's say, values. Okay, so so values, so value in values dot keys. Okay, so we are collecting the keys. Now when we collect the keys, we should let me see. Okay, so we should get let's say we should print out the values inside that key. So we just do print. So first we have to make headers here. So print, so the headers will be the name of the person. So name, so print name. Okay, now we just do plus, then I'll say empty spaces here. So and I'll multiply those empty spaces by 8. Okay, then I will say plus, then BMI, so BMI, then I'll create 8 empty spaces also, so 8. Okay, now the last will be the condition. Okay, so condition, or let me do it category. Okay, so category. Okay, so now we have our headers here. Okay, so this should be a string rather. Okay, so this is our headers, name, BMI and category. So what we will do next is just printing our values like under these headings. Okay, so we just do print, then we say value, so print value, so value. Okay, now we'll just print empty spaces here. Okay, so I'll give it something like 8, so 8. Then I'll add, okay, so I have the value BMI. So the BMI is, so if you check here, it is at the 0th index. So you just call the 0th index of that value. So you just do values, then you call the value. Okay, so we are just collecting the values of the key we have collected. So values value, so values value. Now we just say 0. So simple. So the BMI is the 0th index. So that's what we are doing here. We are collecting it. Now we just do plus. And I will say, okay. So I will say, okay. Now I'll multiply by 8 also. Then what we will do next is just, okay. So we have the, okay, so what's left is the category. So that one is the first index. Okay, so here should be trophy. Okay, so here should be 1. Okay, so to make it conform to each of them, you just do string and string also here. Okay, string. Okay, so now we have just created an header here and presenting our data on a table. So let's run this code and see. So I'll break at the first name so that we won't be wasting my time here. So okay, now let's run this code and see. Okay, so name is Faisal. Sorry, Faisal. Now the height should be, let's say, 56. The weight should be 78. Okay, so you are getting Faisal BMI category. Okay, so though it's like it is out of place, but we can just manage a little bit here. Okay, so that's what we have displayed on the table. So now we will look at how to work around it to make it conform to the header here. Okay, so that will be just now. Okay, so we have our data on a table now. So what we will do next is just uh, edit our table small so as to match the values coming. Okay, so here we'll just change the BMI to category here so that the numbers will go the other side and the letters will go the other side too. So we have category here, so category. Now we have BMI here, so BMI. Okay, so simple. Now we will just space it out small, so by 12 and here by 15. Okay, so let me see again. Okay, now let's run this code and see. So Faisal, okay, height is 56, 78 or 89. Okay, so it's okay, it's okay now. So yeah, so that's what we are doing here. So we have just presented only one on the only one on table. Okay, so now what you do is present all on the table. So to present all on the table, we need the spacing to be matching. Okay, so first we take the longest word from the name here. Okay, so the longest word from the name, we can just take it as, so we just do for name. Okay, so for name again, in database. Okay, or we can just do it here. Okay, so we just do, no, let me separate it so that it will so for name in database, what should we do? We should just collect the so I'll just create another list here. So the list will be just the, let's say, the characters. So cars. Okay, is equal to a list here. Now next will be cars dot append len of name. So simple. Now we will, okay, so now we have the length of each of the word. So what we do next is just do diff, which is the difference. So the difference of what? So difference of the value. Okay, so minus. Okay, so here should be len len of the values. So here should be len of maximum. Okay, so this is the maximum length of let me see, maximum of this cars list. Okay, so maximum cars. Okay, now just subtract. So we are subtracting the current name from the maximum length of the names we have. So we just do value or len of value here. Okay, len of value. So simple. Now we have the maximum cars, we are subtracting the and the length of the name from the maximum length we have here. Now we just have to multiply it here, so just do plus, then do diff star, then you say okay. So simple. Now we do the same for the right hand side also. Okay, so we will just do this for this one only. Now we should also get the underweight and the overweight, so as to also figure out what we should add here. So now here the longest word here is, let me see, UNDER so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 2 4 6 8 10. Okay, so the longest is underweight. So this is a bad practice. You can use code to determine the longest word, but I'll just be counting here. So here the underweight is the longest word here. So that word is it contains 11 characters. Okay, so we will work with the 11 for now. Okay, so what we do is just subtract. So diff1 is equal to, now we just do the, so 11 minus value. Okay, so values, then value, then I will say 1 because the condition is at the first index. Now this should be the length of this condition. Now we just multiply it here. Okay, so plus, now we have diff1 star. Okay, let me see, diff1 star. Okay, star what? Okay, star okay, star space. Okay, sorry, so star space here. Okay, now we are good to go. Okay, so we have this on the table. Okay, so now let me run this code and see. We have Faisal, I've name height is 56 78. Next say Gilbert 67 98. We have John. Oh no, John is not, so we have Moses, then we say 77 45. Then we have Bob, we say 14, and we say 78. Then we have Bridget, we have 88 23. Then we have Joseph. Okay, so Joseph, then you have 67, then you have 45. Okay, so we have our data here. So name here, then the category here, then the BMI. Okay, it's working now and it's looking presentable. So simple. So 17 is underweight as we have here. Then okay, so I think that's that for the third feature. We move on to the last feature. Okay, so lastly we will look at the number of state conditions. Okay, so the number of underweight or normal weight we have in our let's say in the individuals we just